The 1993 Mickey Thompson Stadium off-road season started in the mud. Rain that's plagued Southern California this winter, and it fell on Anaheim Stadium, turning the track into a mud bog. Vicki Allison looked more like a chocolate sculptor than a Super 1600 driver. But still they raced, and stubborn fans who outlasted the weather were treated to one of those great sport truck finishes in the main event. Rick Johnson and Ivan Stewart, they acted more like two kids playing in the mud than experienced drivers. Now the Mickey Thompson Series moves to San Diego. And even though the rain has continued, 6 vehicle classes are ready to go racing tonight. Mickey Thompson Stadium off-road racing. It's next on ESPN. Stadium in San Diego, California, where the rain continues to fall here. I don't know who wrote that song, It Never Rains in Southern California, but it must have been written sometime in September or October, because it's been raining nonstop, it seems like, since January.
Well, unfortunately for the Mickey Thompson Entertainment Group, this is the second event in a row, and only the second time in about 8 years that they've had rain. And the track is literally a quagmire. In one 24-hour period, 2 inches of rain fell in the San Diego area. What's going to be interesting is tires may not be the telling tale tonight, Ken. What may be the telling factor will be whether or not these trucks can first stop because their brakes will be wet, and whether or not they can turn into the corners and then get back on the power and try and slog their way through.
It's going to test driver and technology tonight, no question about it. We have one race in the books, the point standings now for Grand National Sport Trucks after the Anaheim event, and it shows Rob McCachran sitting right on top, but perilously close to second place.
Well, yeah, we've got a real dogfight actually brewing. Rob McCachran scored all of his points in the heat races, and then, of course, if you remember, Rick Johnson came back after 2 dismal performances in the heat races to win in the main event. And then don't look too far, but Ford winning in the Battle for Manufacturers Championship, and that has been a long time coming. Ford has not been in that position for quite a while.
It's going to light a fire under the Toyota guys, I'm sure. Down along pit row with us tonight is Ralph Shaheen, who's standing by with 2 guys who had a great finish in Anaheim, Rick Johnson and the Ironman, Ivan Stewart. Ralph.
Battles between rivals are always things that make racing interesting, and this is quickly becoming one of the most heated competitions in racing. Ivan Stewart and Rick Johnson. Now, Ivan, this has been your home turf, but it's also his backyard. Can he take it away from you, or do you still have the home court advantage here in San Diego?
Well, I think that we have a better truck. I sincerely do. Rick's a heck of a driver, and he's got good equipment. I think the Toyota truck's working better. The problem we're going to have is it's wet out there. It's muddy. It's sloppy. I think it's going to be an equalizer. So it could be a coin toss. But I'll tell you one thing. If he wins, he's going to have to work for it.
We have officially gone 1 year now for Rick Johnson. You have 3 wins and a rookie title, and this is where it all began. Can you do it here in your second try at your home track? It took Ivan 7 attempts to win here in San Diego.
Yeah, like Ivan said, the rain has become the great equalizer. No practice time, no qualifying. We're just going for it at 7 o'clock. I think that you might see a mixed crowd here. Some old motocrossers might be coming and cheering for me, where Ivan's got the experience and the years of truck racing fans behind him. But it's anybody's race out there. Like he says, I got to earn it, so I'm ready to work for it.
Pretty thrilling finish at the last race in Anaheim between these two, and I think with them racing in front of their home crowd, gentlemen, a little more aggression probably up the sleeves of both of these when we come to that checkered flag here tonight.
Mickey Thompson Stadium Off-Road Racing is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, with that fresh, pure, natural taste. You know that nothing beats a Bud. And by Toyota Motorsports, where technology on a fast track is built into every Toyota.
Look at Jack Murphy Stadium layout here in San Diego for our race tonight. An interesting layout, to say the least. So as you come off the starting line, a quick left-hander that takes you down into your major decision for every lap, whether you take the A lane or the B lane. Now, the A lane has 3 180-degree turns. It's shorter, but those turns are going to slow you down. The B side, quicker exit points as you don't turn as often, but you've got a longer distance to travel. You rejoin at turn 5, actually heading towards each other, and then into the rhythm section. Down to turn 6, 180-degree right-hander, to a left-hand 180-degree at turn 7, up over the longest straightaway on the race course, down into a hard left-hander into turn 8 that sends you to the finish line, and 1 lap here at Jack Murphy Stadium.
Well, we're all set to go here at Jack Murphy Stadium. Heat race number 1 in the Grand National Sport Trucks. And Marty Reed, one of the great things about being in San Diego are the local guys that get to come home and race in front of the hometown crowd.
Well, Ralph Sheen talked to the two of them, Ivan Stewart, there you see him, and Rick Johnson. You know, Ivan got a big monkey off his back last year. There's the in-car shot from Rick Johnson's Chevrolet. Ivan had never won his hometown event till last year. And then at the Supercross, you know, he's basically challenged Rick. He said, hey, you're going to have to take it away from me there, youngster. And the 28-year-old did just that, of course, in round number 1, and we'll find out if he can do it again. The thing we need to point out, as you look at the two mirrors on the front row, is that no one has seen this race course until now. There was no practice, no qualifying because of the heavy rains. So they're seeing it just as we're seeing it for the first time. And I'll tell you what, I like our position a lot better than theirs.
Well, there'll be a decision to make as they come up to turn number 2, inside or outside. Each particular lane has its own challenge, and we'll see what the decision is here. The first heat race of the night, Grand National Sport Trucks in the hands of the starter, and we are just about set to go. Gary Scheimer, the starter, an 8-lap heat race, and the green flag is down, and we've got racing in San Diego tonight. And immediately, Marty, we can see the track start coming up on these drivers, some of whom choosing that outside, that top lane. The Mears boys go up there first.
Well, not really much of a choice. You know, you sort of get boxed into what you have to do. You can see the difference that the two sections take you. One takes you much shorter, but a lot tighter. Oh, and we talked about there, you saw Walker Evans and Brian Stewart, his young teammate, get into the barrier there. The secret is going to be able, can you stop and turn these vehicles? Because right now it's so slippery, the brakes are wet, and it's very, very difficult.
Up the top of turn 7 and back down now to the final turn, turn 8, and 1 lap will be in the book. And Roger Sr. has the lead as 1 lap goes in the book here tonight in heat race number 1. Immediately on him, and in second place is Brian Stewart. But now the track seems to be coming up a little bit for Mears, who this time elects to go back up on top again to that chicane up through the top of turn number 3. Certainly good news, though, for the Budweiser team, considering how they struggled in that first race. And now the Budweiser team with Rogers Sr. in front, apparently with the lead.
Now the man who's made a big gain, there's the number 7 of Rick Johnson.
For a moment, they appeared to be neck and neck, but not so now, as Roger Sr. pulls away just a little bit, and the body molding coming off the back of Rick Johnson's truck as well. There is the leader, and right on his tail, Rick Johnson. 5 laps to go.
You saw Rick Johnson get bogged down there in the mud. Again, it's not that tires aren't important tonight, but as we pointed out at the top of the broadcast, it's more of whether or not you can turn the vehicle and stop the vehicle.
Apparently stopping and turning still a very big problem for most of these drivers. Rick Johnson has taken the lead on Roger Sr.
It's a matter of simply the brakes are wet. They also have a tendency to get clogged with mud. Look at the grill and the radiator. That's another problem as we go on through the night. If a lot of mud builds up in that radiator, the engines can overheat. It could send somebody to the sidelines very quickly.
As the mud flies in front of the truck of Rick Johnson, he sees the white flag in front of him, signifying 1 lap to go. And he has the lead. Right behind him, though, is the number 1 truck of Rod Millen.
Yeah, the problem for Rod Millen, he's got 2 lap vehicles in between him and not a lot of time to try and catch Rick Johnson. In fact, it's really Rick's race to lose at this point.
And I suppose if you look at strategy, and I'm sure Roger Sr. will, not taking that A lane the first 3 or 4 times around probably has cost him the ability to win this race.
Well, it certainly didn't help. You know, it proved to be the wrong choice.
Rick Johnson, our leader, making the turn through number 6 and coming up through 7. These are relatively quick turns for Johnson, and he is eyeing right now the checker flag. Rick Johnson, number 3 in the points, second in heat race number 2 last week, and And now preparing to win this heat race #1 here in San Diego tonight. Rick Johnson has won, has taken the checker flag, and will set himself up in fine fashion for the main event. The off-road racing telecast comes up on Tuesday, April the 20th, right? Budweiser, the king of beers.
To be competitive on the Mickey Thompson Series, every one of the tire manufacturers bring an arsenal of tires with them to the racetrack. Every track is different, so sometimes it requires a different tire. Now, these are the 4 tires that BF Goodrich brings with them. They're all available at your local dealerships, by the way. This is their big mud tire, and it varies all the way down to the hard track tire, which is a variation of BF Goodrich's IMSA GTP rain tire. Now, sometimes even those 4 tires aren't enough, and they have to hand groove the tire to specifically meet the needs of this particular truck on a particular day. These are those same 4 tires that have been hand grooved, each time cutting them a little bit different. Joe Sudall is a gentleman for BF Goodrich who is in charge of grooving tires. Now, Joe, I see the way you're grooving it here tonight on your mud tire. How do you decide how to groove a particular tire?
Well, it depends on our track conditions. The more muddier it is, the more grooves we'd put in.
And most importantly, it all comes down to experience, and Joe Sudall has 10 years of it to help BF Goodrich.
Heat race #2, Grand National Sport Trucks. They're lined up and ready to go. Roger Mears Jr. and Ivan Stewart will be at the front of the pack. And so far tonight, the folks up front normally are the ones that are there in victory lane. We'll see if that's the situation in this heat race.
I'll tell you what, Ivan Stewart needs a big performance. Are you ready for this? He is currently 8th in drivers' point standings after heat race #1. That's the lowest he's been in years.
And as they unscramble, there are some takers for that B lane, but the A lane is where Mears chooses, and he maintains the lead as they come up to the top of turn #5. And Mears gets hung up at the top. And look who takes the lead. A great start for Stewart as Mears gets hung up.
And that is Brian Stewart. He is hung up on the hydro barrier, and that is going to bring out a full course yellow. Take a look at what happens down here in the A lane. Now, that is Roger Mears Jr. He gets hooked onto the hydro barrier. Brian slides into him. Then right behind them, that is Rod Millen. And then climbing on further back is a 4th vehicle. And Brian ends up getting pushed. He tries to power around, and oops, he is in the deep mud, which is going to put a big yellow on this track.
Waiting for the green flag to drop. And there it is. Stewart and Jr. off the top, and again Stewart goes to the top, and we've got trouble with Roger Jr. on the A lane.
Yeah, you might as well give the lead to Ivan right now.
Well, now Jr. running into Brian Stewart, but now Stewart in a battle with Roger Sr., and he sends him up over the barrier. Stewart with the lead. Right on his tail is
Ricky Johnson.
Yeah, Rick Johnson, but it's Ivan Stewart who has the lead.
Now, this is amazing. Rick Johnson started back in row #4, and we're on board. Look at all the mud flying up in there.
All right, as they come up over the first lap, that counts. It is the Iron Man with the lead. Rick Johnson in 2nd place.
Now, you notice how everybody gave up on the B lane in the first heat race, and now they're going for it because the track is finally starting to come in.
He maintains the lead as he comes down to the bottom of turn #6.
Big change, though. McCachran coming through on the A lane picks up 2nd place from Rick Johnson. He's now in 3rd. 4th place is Rod Millen.
And another problem at the bottom of turn #6 is the driver has hit the wall. Meanwhile, back in front, it's Ivan Stewart with McCachran right on. McCachran points leader after one event. He won his heat in Anaheim. Picked up a lot of passing points. He chooses the A lane as Stewart, completely enamored with that B lane, goes back up top. Would there be a lead change? No. Stewart still with the lead.
And lengthening it.
Stewart looking to put some air between himself and Rob McCachran. Millen in 3rd place, McCachran 2nd. The leader continues to be Stewart. A bit of a jam up, though, now back at the top of that B lane. But apparently that now has unscrambled. And again, it's still Stewart with the lead. There is McCachran currently riding second in the Ford. Rob McCachran. And there is our leader, Ivan Stewart, who has led right from the start.
I think Rick Johnson has dropped a cylinder or cracked a header. He is dropping back. He is now fifth and having a hard time keeping contact with the leader.
Ivan Stewart and Rob McCachran. Stewart loving that B lane, chooses that again. McCachran goes low. And we'll see what happens as they come to the top of turn 5.
One thing I noticed, Ken, the number 7 of Rick Johnson had oil leaking out, a big, huge puddle. He is already off song, and I'm wondering if that motor will last the last 3 laps.
Stewart maintains the lead as he has throughout this race. McCachran challenging now somewhat in second place, and now Stewart has flipped on top. Stewart sits on top, and McCachran has taken the lead. What a strange and bizarre turn of events for the Ironman.
I can't remember the last time Ivan Stewart had a lead and gave it up with a mistake.
Meanwhile, it is McCachran who is elected to go to the top lane, and he has lost the lead now to Rod Millen. We have, though, a full course yellow out as they will now attend to Ivan Stewart. We'll see if that lead change will hold.
All right, take a look. We'll see what happened to Ivan. I think he just catches a rut as he's into turn number 8. And watch, I've never seen him do this with the lead. And you can see, yes, he does catch a rut. And before you know it, he's up and over. And that's all it takes. There you see the end result. He's on his lid, giving up the lead, the Ironman.
So now the lead belongs to Rob McCachran. Millen comes low. McCachran goes high, and we'll see which strategy prevails at the top of turn number 5. It appears that Millen will take the lead. Rod Millen in his Toyota has taken the lead from McCachran, who elected to go high. Johnson is in second, Rogers Sr. third, Ivan fourth, and McCachran fifth. But this is going to be Rod Millen's race, no question about it, barring the unforeseen. Good look at the truck of Rod Millen, wearing the number 1, certainly for what he did in 1992. Currently second, but only 2 points behind in the points race for 93.
What's really amazing is Rick Johnson is holding on to second place despite this vehicle sounding like it is running on, just a motor that doesn't have enough gumption to get there. I mean, he has either dropped a piston or something in there because it is totally off song, but he's holding on to second.
Checker flag is out. It's going to be Rod Millen who'll take it. Big win for Team Toyota. Millen takes the checker. It'll be Johnson in second place. And a big battle for third. And the Ironman will take the checker. And what a big comeback for Stewart, who led virtually from the start till he wound up on his head and rallies to take third.
In the pit area tonight is a high-pressure washer like this one. The cars get covered with mud inside and out, and as Guy Clark is going to show you, they have to stick those high-pressure washers right down in there and try and squirt as much of that mud off as they can. It's a dirty, disgusting job. And by the way, it costs you $75 a night to rent the high-pressure washer.
All right, look at the mud on that truck. You wonder how they set these things up to run in the mud? I mean, I do. Let's go down to the pit road and Ralph Shaheen. How do they do that, Ralph?
Well, Ken, this truck actually looks fairly clean to when it just rolled in here. In fact, the mechanics are pulling some 300 pounds of mud off these trucks after every heat race. Now, Ivan, how do you set one of these up? Do you go soft? Do you go hard? What do you do?
Well, everything is a compromise. You want a lot of wheel travel, and you want truck off the ground, obviously, to go through the moguls and the jumps. But yet, when you get it high off the ground, it doesn't corner very well. So everything's a compromise. You get it low as possible, and to go through the moguls and still get around the corner without tipping over.
It's getting a little bit cooler out here tonight. Is that going to affect the way you set the truck up for the main event?
No, I doubt that. Just track conditions are going to change, and that's what we're going to set up for right now. We're going to go out and watch the track and see where the groove is, and if we can get it lower, it'd be better. They want to tip over, obviously, because we're trying to get up out of the moguls and out of the mud.
That's where experience and practice comes into play, and the Toyota team is one team that did get some practice in between here and Anaheim.
We're lined up for the main event in the Grand National Sport Trucks. Now, the question I think becomes this. Is it going to be this man who has done some major engine repairs since the last heat race? Will it be Rick Johnson tonight? Or will Ivan Stewart, who had such great success in his last heat race until adversity struck and knocked him out, can he duplicate that in the main event?
Well, I got to tell you, I have never seen Ivan Stewart roll when he had the lead before without having somebody push him over. I don't think he'll do it twice in one night, and he's starting on the front row.
Well, the starter has got the green flag, and we are about ready to roll here for the Grand National Sport Truck main event. Roger Sr. and Ivan Stewart side by side in row 1.
And they're getting set to go now. This is it. Winner takes all right here.
We're off. 12 laps. Stewart zooms to the lead and goes to his favorite lane, the top lane, the B lane, while Roger Sr. opts for the lower A lane. And as they meet at the top of turn number 5, Ivan Stewart has the lead. We've got some problems back at the top of that B lane.
That's Brian Stewart that got hung up back in the B lane. But the Iron Man takes advantage again. He loves that lane. But I wonder if he saw that the B lane's now got some traffic. And will he make a change here? Because his son Brian is blocking the apex of the far corner.
Stewart with a healthy lead on Roger Sr. He, though, will go up to that B lane and have to negotiate around his son.
Anybody, and they're all following. I think if somebody would have taken the A lane, everybody followed the B side. So Ivan's mistake turns out to be everybody's mistake.
Well, Ivan continues to lead this race through the bottom of turn number 6. Roger Sr. on him, and just a hair behind is Rick Johnson.
Now, what's this man, Rick Johnson, going to do next time around? What is Ivan going to do this time around? Now they know that Brian is sitting there and that they have to go slower. Oh, this is really interesting because remember, until last year, Ivan Stewart couldn't buy a victory here at San Diego. He won the main event here last year and went on to finish second in the point standings behind his teammate Rod Millen. He needs this win. As you look at second place, Roger Mears Sr., this is the best Rogers run all night long, but Ivan needs this win because he's tied for 6th in the points. Oh, and Rob McCachran goes into the hydro barrier.
We've got McCachran in the hydro barrier trying to back out. He got caught in that rut, and McCachran, though, okay and back out and racing. Does not affect the leader, Stewart. Does not affect second place. Roger Sr. on him, and continuing in third is Rick Johnson. There is the Iron Man, Ivan Stewart.
Tell you what, watch Ivan coming through these corners now. Notice how he doesn't slide out there. If we get a chance to see Rick Johnson in some of those same positions, he's really going all over the place. Now watch Ricky right here coming through this corner. Now, look, he had to get all the way down to a full stop, and he still ended up fishtailing. So it gives you an idea why Ivan is pulling out this big lead over Roger Mears and Rick Johnson.
Ivan Stewart with the lead. There he is in the Toyota number 2. Roger Sr. in second. Rick Johnson in third.
I think I may have discovered another problem for Rick Johnson. He may have done the same thing he did in heat race number 2. It sounds like his engine is off song. He may have dropped another cylinder.
Johnson the winner in the main in Anaheim. Right now, the best he can do is third.
It's either Rick Johnson's truck or Rob McCachran's. One of them, with all this noise, it's awfully hard to tell the difference, but one of them has definitely got a problem.
Coming up on 2 laps to go. Ivan Stewart has less than 2 laps to go. He's the leader. Second place belongs to Roger Sr. Third place belongs to Rick Johnson. Stewart battling the track. And we've got a problem at the bottom of turn number 6. As a matter of fact, we've got a couple of trucks buried. Looks like...
That's Walker Evans on top of Rob McCachran. They used to be teammates years ago.
Now one is trying to take a piggyback right on the other. Still no yellow caution. Everything remains as is. The white flag is about to come out for Ivan Stewart. He sees it. He's got it.
Oh, I don't know if you saw that, but Ivan almost went up on the bicycle again in the very spot where he went over in heat race number 2.
Roger Sr. second. Rick Johnson is third. Ivan Ivan Stewart now negotiating around lap traffic, negotiating around, I believe that's Danny Thompson. Now through the rhythm section and trying to avoid, and he has to really do some driving to avoid the Venable Racing team's Rob McCachran, who had backed up. He lost part of his side molding. Looked like he lost the door. He still has the lead. He still sees the checker flag. It's out. The Ironman's going to win in San Diego for the second year in a row. Second place belongs to Roger Sr. Third place goes to Rick Johnson. But it's the Ironman who wins it here in San Diego. He'll need a new door. He'll gladly take that for the trophy tonight.
Ivan, I got to tell you, win number 15 of your career in Grand National Sport Trucks, and 2 years in a row here, and you needed this one. You realized at the end of heat race number 1, you were 8th in points.
Oh, Marty, it was horrible. I had a malfunction in my goggles, and the roll-offs we were using jammed, and I couldn't see anything, so I kind of drove that first race by braille. And then the second one, I lost concentration and tipped the silly thing over. I was so mad at myself. I said, well, I got to win the main now, I tell you.
Take a look at the monitor. This had to be a frightening moment for you. Walker backing up into you.
Oh, I saw him coming. I thought, oh, I didn't know it was Walker or Brian. I thought, please don't back into me and put me out now. And boom, he got me. But it wasn't too bad. I was afraid he was going to damage the steering or something, but it really didn't hurt anything.
Well, we talked about it right before the start of the race. I've only ever seen you roll your truck once in your career in the lead, and that was heat race number 2. I knew you wouldn't do it twice.
Oh, no, I was going to do it twice, Marty, I guarantee you. That was silly. That was a mistake. The truck performed fantastic. BFGoodrich again.
Well,
all the team, great. Just great to be here, Marty.
You rebounded nicely. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So to recapitulate, here are our winners tonight in the main event here in San Diego. First in the sport truck, Ivan Stewart, start to finish, in overcoming some real disappointments in his heat race number 2, but he's the winner tonight in the Grand National Sport Truck event. Ultracross winner Ray Crum in the Super 1600 in his first outing of '93. Marty Coyne with the win in the Super Light. It was a big night for Greg George. The four-wheel ATV winner, 15-year-old Corey Ellis from Washington State. And in the Sport Utility, the American Racing Wheels Sport Utility, TJ Clark with the win tonight as well. Mickey Thompson Stadium Off-Road Racing is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers with that fresh, pure, natural taste. Nothing beats a Bud. And by Toyota Motorsports, where technology on a fast track is built into every Toyota. In-car cameras made possible by your friends at Chevrolet, American Racing Custom Wheels, and Nature Recipe Pet Food. Barrier camera compliments of Dick CPEC and Rancho Suspension. Ken Bruce saying so long from San Diego, and reminding you that this has been a presentation of Bud Sports in association with ESPN. So long, everybody.
There are